days when you need to be an adult and you just really don't want to. Maybe you have work, maybe you have schoolwork, both are valid, but instead you realize, hey, it's the first cloudy day of fall. I would like to lie to all of my friends and family. I want to tell them that I'm very busy today. I cannot answer your texts or your calls or your emails. In fact, I'm just going to stay here and I'm going to listen to show tunes. Today is that day for me. In fact, why do you think this video is so late? So please, step into my office. Let's talk about Broadway. Hello, internet people. My name is Katherine Steele. I am a very professional YouTuber and I did not procrastinate on making this video because I wanted to listen to show tunes and maybe eat some soup. I live in Los Angeles, so when we actually get a cloudy day, they're very far and few between. That makes no sense. They are very few and far between. It has been brought to my attention that y'all would like some show tune recommendations. I got you. Now, depending on how deep you are into your cult journey of musical theater, you may recognize some of these titles, you may not recognize some of these titles. Either way, that is okay. We are an inclusive cult. We are not here to make fun of you. We are not here to shame you. In fact, every expert was once a beginner. Now, do keep in mind that this list is not meant to be the most obscure, never before heard of, I found these musicals while raiding Area 51 list. That's not what we're trying to do today. On the other hand, however, I would like to recommend some musicals that maybe you haven't heard of. While there are some super popular, well-known musicals and some that I really love, I'm not going to include them in today's video because you've probably already been recommended them. So I'm not going to be including stuff like Dear Evan Hansen, Waitress, Hadestown, Heathers, 6, 21 Chump Street, Beetlejuice. I'm also going to try to not mention standards, classics, or long-running musicals you probably already know about, like The Phantom of the Opera, Wicked, Chicago, The Lion King, Rent. Notice how I still managed to mention the titles of all of these super popular contemporary musicals and these classic long-running musicals in a video where I specifically said I wouldn't mention them. Sneaky recommendations are sneaky. If you haven't listened to some of those, check them out. All of that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this list right now because it's a cloudy day and this is what I want to listen to, so this is what I'm gonna share with you. And it is the definitive best list of all time and definitely not a list that I just came up with while I was taking a shower. Let's get cozy and recommend some show tunes. First up, we'll be discussing a show that I love very dearly, and one that if you've probably been around my channel for any length of time, you've heard me talk about ad nauseum. So let's go ahead and get it out of the way, and I'm gonna tell you right now to go listen to Bear, a pop opera, or as I like to call it, a popera. Nice. Now, there are two versions of Bear. You have Bear, a pop opera, and Bear, a musical. The one that I am head over heels in love with is Bear, a pop opera, popera, whatever you would like to call it. The musical is also super dope. It features Taylor Trench and Barrett Wilbert-Weed, among others, and there are a handful of really great songs. I'm looking at you, drive you out of your mind. But Bear, a pop opera is the one that I need you to go listen to and cry about right now. Now, do be warned, this entire show is sung through. It is, of course, a pop opera. But the good thing about the studio cast recording is that you basically get the entire plot because everything is in there. And that studio cast recording is real good. I love me some baby James Snyder and Matt Doyle. I don't want to spoil the plots of any of the shows I'm going to be talking about, so let me just say that Bear is about the relationship between two teenage boys at a Catholic boarding school in the 90s. If you love Spring Awakening, if you love Next to Normal, it's got a ton of fantastic character development, like you're rooting for a lot of different people and you see the sides of a lot of different people. It tugs on your heartstrings with the emotional severity of Dear Evan Hansen. It's complicated, it's messy, it's beautiful, and it's a show that I don't let myself listen to very often because 9 times out of 10, if I listen to it in the car, I will be crying when I arrive to whatever destination I'm driving to. If you like musicals that often leave you wondering, the did I just watch? You should check out Bat Boy. It's from the team that brought you musicals like Heathers and Legally Blonde. This show is a satirical take on a news headline claiming that a bat child had been found somewhere deep in a cave. This darkly funny, twisted show explores the idea of what would happen if a small-town veterinarian decided to adopt the Bat Boy into his own family. It's got similar vibes to shows like Evil Dead or Reefer Madness. If you like dirty, bloody, raunchy, loud, laugh out loud at something you really shouldn't be laughing at kind of shows, Bat Boy is for you. A Little Night Music combines some of my favorite things of all time. A Sondheim score, gorgeous period costumes, good-looking people making out. A Little Night Music is a show that I lovingly refer to as a Sondheim soap opera. I believe it's based on a Swedish straight play. A Little Night Music features an ensemble cast, many of whom are unhappily married, most of them having affairs. Comparing Sondheim scores, I would definitely put A Little Night Music more toward the sound of Sweeney Todd than, say, Into the Woods. Here's the weird thing about A Little Night Music. I love this show. It's a dream show of mine. I am dying to do it. I almost never listen to the cast recording. A Little Night Music is definitely one of those shows that you need to see live, or at least have a copy of the libretto in front of you and you can read the scenes along and read the lyrics. I have a copy of the libretto that I would show you guys, but this video would get demonetized because I didn't realize until years later that there are naked people in the trees. I realize how weird that sentence sounds out of context, and what I mean by that is that the libretto for A Little Night Music has a tree on the cover, and like in the branches are naked people drawn into the branches. Like the branches form butts. I know what I just said. If you're a Les Miserables superfan, might I suggest Miss Saigon. It's a sweeping, war-torn, sung-through musical by the same team, but this one is based on Puccini's opera, Madame Butterfly. Personally, I think it's a show best seen and best enjoyed without reading the synopsis beforehand. The show centers on a love affair during the Vietnam War between a local girl, Kim, and an American soldier, Chris. Also, if you're a super fan of Hadestown, check out Eva Noblezada as Kim in the revival. Chef's kiss, beautiful interpretation of Kim. Honestly, just like chef's kiss to Eva Noblezada in general. She's so good. Another one of my favorite musicals is, of course, Company, and that comes as no surprise. You know, it's a Sondheim show. There are some very complex, very interesting issues addressed in the show, specifically when it comes to relationships and intimacy and kind of allowing your life to be shared with someone else. Bobby is a bachelor who has significant problems with intimacy and the idea of being tied down in a relationship. Now, the show begins at his 35th birthday, and it's never specifically mentioned, but it's kind of insinuated that the events of the show take place in the next calendar year. Another really great thing about this show is that I feel like it's best enjoyed live, watching a production of it, reading the libretto, or watching one of the count 'em two pro shots available. You can check out the pro shot starring Neil Patrick Harris or the one starring Raul Esparza. Cuban pride represent. You can also check out the groundbreaking Broadway revival of Company that will feature a gender-bent cast. Tony Award winner Katrina Lenk will be taking on the role of Bobby, a role previously played by Rosalie Craig in the West End gender-bent production. Once was the first minimalist show that I ever fell in love with. It has such like a homegrown magic kind of vibe about it. Something that you might not notice when you listen to the cast recording is the fact that all of the actors play their own instruments on stage. Guy, the male lead of the show, plays the guitar, and Girl, the female lead, plays the piano. The genre of the music of the show is contemporary folk, probably my favorite genre of music. Several of the characters in the show aren't named, and a lot of the show is left up to your own interpretation and the interpretation of the production. So the show really leaves you with this kind of dreamy, ambiguous, hopeful feel. Definitely a rainy day musical. It almost gives me a similar vibe that Amelie does. In the Heights was a show that was massively popular when it premiered, but it's been kind of overshadowed in recent years by its creator's other works. Something called Hamilton? If you're a Lin-Manuel Miranda superfan and you haven't checked out In the Heights, what are you doing? I think In the Heights is the most technically well-written contemporary musical in recent history. Just like the structure of the show itself kind of makes it the perfect show. In the Heights is an ensemble show that tells the story of different community members living in Washington Heights in New York. The cast is comprised of almost entirely Latino actors, which I think is really cool. I remember when my family and I went to go see In the Heights, the first national tour starring Lin before Lin became like Lin. I have a very embarrassing stage door photo with him. It's real bad. In the Heights was really the first time that I ever got to see my heritage and my history represented on stage in an accurate way that captured all of the love and excitement and energy. Just like Hamilton, there is a very heavy hip-hop and rap influence in this score, but I feel like it might be a tinge more musical theatery than Hamilton is. Anywho, if you haven't checked out In the Heights, go do so. You'll love it. Surprise, surprise! Let's talk about a Jason Robert Brown score that involves involves romance. I'm talking about The Last 5 Years. Now, The Last 5 Years is a very interesting show in the fact that there is no real dialogue, like there aren't book scenes. In fact, this show only features 2 characters, and the 2 characters only interact with each other once throughout the entire show. The Last 5 Years tells the story of a 5-year relationship between Jamie and Kathy. Kathy tells the story from her point of view in chronological order, and Jamie tells the story from his point of view in reverse chronological order. There are 3 different cast recordings of this show, including a major motion picture starring Jeremy Jordan and Anna Kendrick. If you're really into character work or character-driven shows, The Last 5 Years is definitely for you. I went on record a very long time ago on this channel saying that I was Team Jamie, and I think I'd like to retract that statement because they're both part of the relationship, you know? Interesting little tidbit there. Now, while we're on the topic of Jason Robert Brown and romance, let's go ahead and talk about one of the most romantic, sexiest shows of all time, Bridges of Madison County. You've got Steve Pasquale, you've got Kelly O'Hara, you've got a gorgeous, romantic, lush, contemporary score. What more could you ask for? Italian war bride Francesca longs for romance and adventure, but instead becomes a farm girl, woman, mother. Her life becomes monotonous and she feels like she's begun to wither away until she meets National Geographic photographer Robert Kincaid. A steamy affair ensues and difficult decisions are made. This is one of those shows that are best enjoyed in a bubble bath sipping a glass of Chardonnay. It's sexy and cozy, but not from Trader Joe's. I'm assuming that your Chardonnay is from Trader Joe's. I am now realizing that this video is going to be way too insanely long if I include all of the musicals that I put on the list for this video, so I'm just gonna go ahead and recommend that you check out Hair, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Ragtime, Spring Awakening, Cabaret, Next to Normal, Alice by Heart, Light in the Piazza, and Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson. These are all cast recordings that I listen to pretty frequently, sometimes at the gym. Oh, and Lizzie, check out Lizzie if you're looking for something like good and Halloween-y and something fun to listen to while you're like running on the elliptical. Lizzie. And Carrie, but I feel like that's pretty popular, so. Again, let me know in the comments what musicals you are currently obsessed with at the moment. I'm always looking for listening recommendations. If you're new here and you think I'm weird, that's probably fair, but if you want to hang out with me some more, hit subscribe. We're a musical theater internet cult. I have a vlog channel if you want to watch me also be weird and talk about Broadway in my everyday life, so you can do that too. Anywho, I hope you guys are having a great day. I love you so, so much. Break a leg, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye!